Hello, this is Dr. CJ Palmer from Sweden and from Sustainable Impact. I'm very honored to participate in this important webinar. Give you a brief introduction about my background and also address the ongoing health issues that we're obviously facing across the globe. Short introduction about myself is that I'm a medical doctor who's passionate about sustainability issues. I've had that passion for my whole life. I always also have a background as a musician and singer and songwriter that has been using and will continue to use music, in my case, to raise awareness and stimulate action in the field of sustainability. I've been based in Sweden for the main part of my life and been working abroad to some extent as well. I am the founder and CEO of Sustainable Impact. We are setting up a global online community for sustainability. It will serve as a go-to place for individuals, NGOs, and other entities around the world, so that we get some place where we could all gather and share information and experiences and speed up the sustainability transition, basically. So in this short talk, we will be talking a little bit more about the SDG number 3 and the current ongoing pandemic and the as it relates to sustainability, the challenges that we have been facing, that we are facing, and also maybe address a little bit about Sweden's sort of strategy in the corona pandemic, and also discuss a little bit further on how we see the short-term future here as it relates to the COVID pandemic, to sustainability, and to the Sustainable Development Goals.
Great. That's beautiful, wonderfully told. Now, let us come and start from Sweden's strategy on COVID-19, because it's been a talk around the world. The Sweden has come up with a separate kind of strategy than all the EU countries. How effective do you think that is, and should it be adopted by other countries? What are your take on? What is your take on?
Yeah, that's a very interesting and very big question. Obviously, it's a complex question. I happen to come from a country that has maybe taken a somewhat different road regarding the strategy of the COVID-19 pandemic. As you may be familiar with, Sweden has been, I would say, comparatively quite more open as a society. We have not conducted any massive, powerful lockdown in the sense, and compared to many other countries. We have had some major challenges over here as well, but in general, we have been trying a different method and a different strategy for this, and it's proven out to be working, I think, personally, to a large extent, but there are some challenges and some things that obviously all countries have been struggling with, which could have been done in a different manner. To respond to your question, you know, whether it's this is something to recommend or to use as a strategy worldwide, my opinion is that it's too early to say. We're still in the middle of this. We're seeing around the world that cases are really, we're seeing fluctuating trends globally and regionally and in different countries. So it is very, very hard to tell you know, which is the best strategy to conduct. And I think we will see in hindsight, obviously, and learn from each other. But I think the Swedish way, you know, to the extent that it has worked out, has been an way. We've been get a lot of criticism, and also some people have looked at us as being a more open country in this aspect. And people that I've spoken with around the world think it's interesting, and that we have been able to move around a lot more. We're not obviously not fined when you step outside for any errand, but it's based on the individual's responsibility and respect for the experts. So all in all, I think it might be.
So let me rephrase what you told, right?
Yes, I hear you. Yes, I do. Thank you.
Yeah. So probably that is a very interesting area also to explore further. What you said is that yes, Sweden has kept themselves open all throughout this pandemic. So it is the only EU country possibly which has kept itself open, and they has not implemented any kind of lockdown all throughout, right? So if you are not sure that because we are in the middle of the pandemic, so you are not very sure that this should be recommended to other countries, right? And now let me tell you the situation what in India is, or in US is. That's what I see. In India, we have implemented one of the massive lockdown programs. It went on for 2-3 months. We are now in unlock phase. So basically, we are returning to the Sweden model. We are opening up. And we are opening up in a situation where we have the maximum number of infections, maximum number of deaths. And earlier, when we have lockdown, we had very minimum number of death and minimum number of infection. So, I mean, in a bit of this confusion that where exactly as a strategic health protection, because what we're talking about is that world is, as you can tell it better, the world is not prepared for this global pandemic. And we have never done any kind of strategic understanding. We probably had thought about how to fight war with each nations, what to do, how to deposit missiles and all that stuff. But we have never thought about how to handle a pandemic. That's what what we see around the world. It is seen like that no country exactly knows what is going to happen for the next 6 months. So do we have, is there, as a medical professional, do you think that there is a lot of investment, there is a lot of funds has to become on strategic health protection, on studying epidemiology, and to investment? Because we can see on US they have completely stopped funding on epidemiology, and they think that this is not relevant. So what do you think? How exactly the world after this COVID will deal with this? Because pandemics are not going to end right now, right? With this, they are going to come back. So how would you take our preparation? What is our learning? What should we learn as a global community, as a sustainable community from this?
Yes, this is another large and interesting hypothetical question on strategy, and speaking, having the viewpoint of Sweden, again, as sort of starting point here, but then also looking out across the world. I think, as you mentioned, all countries, no one was ready for this, and this is kind of situations or disasters and tragedies that just that appears, and it's difficult, obviously, to be prepared for the specific event that will happen. What we know, however, is that, and this is just my personal belief, is that there is a level of bringing this readiness to handle these kind of situations has declined quite a lot, I think, in many parts of the world, where we do not address and focus having the equipment and the readiness to tackle these kind of challenges. And I'm definitely not an expert in this area, but I can see that some European countries are more prepared with protective materials and so on than others. And Sweden has, I would say, not been ready for these kind of challenges, whereas we have other countries in our neighborhood which have another history, and of course history is important here. Like Finland has behaved and has been ready for these kind of events in another way. So I think there's, if you compare Finland and Sweden in the you know, how much are we on our toes and how much can we tackle these kind of situations, I think it's an obvious comparison that there is a difference. And looking forward, there is we know that our readiness or our ability to react to these kind of society changing or world changing events probably will have to be a lot higher for a host of reasons looking forward. So I think what we will see is a local, meaning countries, and regional and also global shift, obviously, into these kind of focuses, whereas the awareness of these events has obviously become a lot higher. So that is another area where I don't think we will want to go back to the pre-COVID normality, but we will see a large change from a number of stakeholders being more prepared to handle these kind of challenges, and that's a big discussion, at least in Sweden. You know, how to prepare for any similar events, and how much have we scaled down our disaster capabilities? How can we cope with these things? And I think Sweden is one example of a country that we've had some basic readiness, but not at this level, not at all. And I think, as I mentioned, for other reasons, the world needs to address and be able to react, and I'm sure we will in the future.
Right. So it's very, you know, you are very, what is it, pragmatic on saying that obviously the world is not prepared and we don't know what exactly. So just to bring back a little bit into what you are doing right now with sustainable impact. You're building a community of sustainable development professionals together, different areas, and you know there is a lot of SDG goals, and a lot of SDG goals have been existing before the global pandemic, and they will be obviously existing after it. But we think that people's focus has shifted from SDG goals, and in fact, if they would have before the global pandemic, if people would be more focused on SDG 3, we would never see this, you know, never see this condition to happen. So what do you think? What is this situation, COVID-19 vis-a-vis SDG goals, sustainable development goals, and how do the sustainable impact is going to make a difference on it? Or what are your plans on it?
So Sustainable Impact is a new online community for sustainability, basically, and it is an ambition that is now coming into a vision that is now coming into reality, to create a meeting place for people who are interested or concerned about different parts of the broad spectrum that sustainability covers. So it's not only for professionals, it's for people. We are many people concerned with ability, and then have maybe some area where they focus in. What we are doing is that we have started building the first version of a community for all of us to meet, where we could focus in only on sustainability issues. So So our vision.
Yes, let me rephrase what you told.
Okay.
That you are planning. You're planning the sustainable impact community not to be just for the sustainable professional, but to a community which could be, more inclusive in nature. That's where we ended up, and you can start from there.
Okay. So the Sustainable Impact online community for sustainability, we envision as a go-to place. Doesn't at all have to be exclusive. We're all about partnerships and collaborations, obviously, because we need to collaborate definitely on all the SDGs and everything sustainability to accomplish the goals that we all want to reach and to face the challenges that we are facing. So it's a truly inclusionary meeting place, and we're just getting started. But it is a go-to place for sustainability, and we identify that there is a lack of meeting places online where you could get information, where you could interact with other people, where you could find friends and find inspiration and information around these topics. So it's we're thrilled to I'm very excited to have launched this first version, but there's lots of work to be done, and this is just the minimal product that we have happening at the moment.
So one thing I'm very sure that this is very inspiring.
So maybe you want to rephrase, and we could take
Yeah. So I think that it's true that your work, what you are doing on sustainable impact, is very inspiring for the people like us, and we need a lot of role models like you to be there. Especially one of the areas is the cultural expression, which I find absolutely new. Which is, I have been into some other communities, sustainable communities, and there has been nothing like that. The cultural expression part was absolutely what we're doing with music and sustainable development, which is, I feel, is a wonderful work. And so merely that actually helps to connect a lot of people, because sometimes it becomes a very ideological discussion. And when it comes to the cultural expression, it could be communicated to larger mass of people. I mean, I think there is one of the problems we are getting is that we have a small mass of people who thinks that, yes, the world needs to be sustainable, world needs to be, something like that. So, but there is a larger mass who doesn't follow this, and they have nothing to do with it. I mean, they don't think like that. So I was, someday before, I was having a discussion with somebody called Alex Trophy, who was writing something on sustainable development in an UN community. And he was saying some interesting stuff. One of the interesting stuff he was talking about, the sustainable practice was there already in the indigenous communities across the world. Indigenous communities means if you go to Red Indians, if you go to the Africans, you will see their lifestyle has already that sustainable development goals and the philosophies there. And it was very interesting for me. And he was saying that it is, if you look at the life in art, this has been, if you look at the indigenous communities, they have been able to sustain the environment. They have been able to handle the society better. It is the industrial communities. It is the industrialization, or it is what you see, they have gone out of the environment and they have gone out of the society. Their objectives are completely different. So coming back to the question, what I am trying to tell about the cultural expression, do you think the cultural expression can actually bring the values which the indigenous communities have worldwide to a larger mass of industrial communities? I mean, the rich and the influencing, the powerful people who are not living sustainably as they should.
Yes, that's another big topic to cover. That I think are my important and some thoughts that I want to share. Now, first, there are a couple of things here. So going first with these sort of indigenous cultures and the way that the world, one of the problems is that see the production, you think it's cheap, it's these are cheap pants, or this is a cheap shirt or something like that. I think it's easy to not remember where the whole production chain here and the whole life cycle of a product. So it doesn't affect you sort of straight in the face, so to say. So there is a huge geographical, maybe emotional sort of distance here, where in our industrialized world, where things are coming from and where products are being made. So as you say, these are problems created by the large scale sort of industrialization and the way that you know, our world is working or not working. So but my personal belief is that by pretty small you know, changes, small things that are changed, we can accomplish you know, massive effects. So it's to try to summarize that thought about, you know, indigenous cultures, and you know, it's I think everybody needs to ask themselves how we consume, and do we need to consume on the level that we do, and you know, you could have a great, fantastic life materialistically, but still you know, choose a more sustainable lifestyle. And it does not mean, if you are in the Western world, that you would give up everything you have from a standard point of view. That's not the case at all. So I think increasing knowledge and understanding in that aspect and is of course a crucial factor here as well. Now, regarding culture and you know, the way it has affected again on local or regional and global, we've seen that many times throughout history. Where I come from the music sector, so the power of music, but lots of other cultural expressions as well, has been both the driving force, like the engine in some major societal changes throughout history. You have the lots of examples on that I think we're all pretty familiar with. So the short answer to your question about and comment about, you know, culture and sustainability, I think that some of these cultural expressions have a way to contact, to reach people, that the spoken word, or you know, looking at the news or reading a paper, this is something else. And it's, to me, it's obvious that there is, you know, this could be used a whole lot more. And someone said that, you know, music is like a smile. It's global, and you could connect with people through this cultural expression. So I'm looking forward to playing a small part in this, and to stimulate and encourage also the cultural sector to involve more in the, you know, focusing on these issues. And I think there's it's not difficult for people in the culture sector to align with these kind of values and the purposes that is being addressed by the sustainability world, so to say. So definitely, yes, I think there's a lot of work to be done, and that's just that music and other cultural expressions could really speed up accelerate the sustainability transition.
Okay, that's fantastic. Before we sign off from this session, I want to summarize and ask the Lux question, summarize what you told, and probably you could correct me if I'm wrong. You know, we started from your medical background, and we talked a lot about COVID-19 and the Sweden's strategy on it, and how do you think the globe can replicate the strategic things what you know, Sweden is following, which is a more general kind of conversation. But I love the conversation which you talked, we carried on sustainable impact and how you're making a difference in a small way, because you said a very interesting word that we all have to start small somewhere, and it's a small community, but that doesn't make it, you know, on that sense, that doesn't make it small. It can do a lot, it can change a lot. And how you find out music is a vehicle for change for you. It can get to a lot of people across. It could bring them together. So coming up to this point, this is my last question, and we'll be signing off this. Now, there's one aspect which actually had a which is one of the Indian indigenous culture, what you can say. Yoga is one of the Indian indigenous culture, which have now an universal appeal, which have gone across the world and people are practicing. And I personally have practiced and find out that yoga has a close relation with sustainability. I mean, yoga is what we call as universe is also practicing the same principles. So it's like when you connect with yoga, you connect with the universe. You see that how this, there is a kind of collaboration. There's a kind of ecosystem which is coming up, and we say that the profound yogis like Sri Aurobindo used to say, the universe, the nature is also doing yoga. So it is like a self-expression of the reality inside you, the reality which is pervading the entire universe. So the last question was a sustainable living. How do we bring, because this is a very important question, apart from the discussions we do, how do we bring the principles of sustainability in everyday life? How do we make the decision, the choices across the planet, all the people across the planet? How do they make choices every day, every moment towards sustainability? And how do you think yoga could be helpful from there on this?
Yes, I agree with you. I should point out right away, I'm not a yoga expert. I've tested it successfully. I think it's a great method in many aspects. And if you want to start by the sort of medical aspects, we've now found out, what yoga can do from a strict medical perspective. So that is now not a topic. It definitely has a relevance in a host of areas when it comes to our bodies and our mental state and so on. So I think it's good that we don't have to debate that anymore, and I think that's well proven now. And to your question or comment, I think there are a lot of similarities. I think that what yoga does is that it's one of the things I think is that it brings your focus and your awareness of, you raise your awareness on what is actually going on, and it obviously makes you very present and paying a lot of attention to the moment, and it also addresses your in this case your self-awareness. But to put it simple, in my way, what am I doing now? How is this working out? What is happening? And also the sense of calm and tranquility, and the possibility to really cleanse your mind. So I think, again, not being a yoga expert, but I think there are some common things that could be used regarding your question now on how do we make ourselves more on our toes, more alert about the sustainability choices that we make every day. And I think there are similarities. I think having an ongoing dialogue with yourself, or and asking yourself how things are working out for you on a physiological level, but also on the decisions. I think there's a linkage between understanding complex patterns and how way that make things work. And I think our bodies serve as great examples of a lot of connections. It'd be also interesting to hear your thoughts about how to link those things together, and what from the yoga practice is from an expert point of view is really applicable on me as an individual, on my thought patterns and my behavior and my the choices that I make every day, because I'm sure that you've put a lot of thought and knowledge into this as well. So I think you'd be, it would be interesting to hear your answer on that as well, of course.
Yes, we will do definitely another new program for that, where I will be telling you my kinds of thought. But this is a program where you wanted to know about your thought about the multiple issues. And this was quite interesting. What you told was quite interesting about how do we put sustainability in practice in living on the present situation. It was a very enlightening session. Thank you for it, CJ. Namaste. And we'll be soon having another chat session with you. And there we will be exchanging thought. Up to then, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Namaste. And thank you so much for having me. And best of luck. And looking forward to further contact. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.